What's up, everybody? It is Zach here with Eat, Sleep, Anime, and I'm joined along with the donut-loving man himself, Derek Daniel. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great because today we are going to be ranking every arc of Demon Slayer, getting ready for the new season that is coming out on May 12th. I'm excited to get into this, Derek. Are you excited?
I am. Like, most people, on Mother's Day of all days, and like you can get flowers, chocolate, or you can watch Demon Slayer with your mother.
I think that's a pretty good Mother's Day gift, is giving her the gift of Demon Slayer. So let's jump into it, Derek. We are ranking every single arc of Demon Slayer. So let's start with final selection. Derek, tell me what happens in the first arc of Demon Slayer.
Well, we see this little mountain boy called Tanjiro, and he sells coal. He and his family have the business of selling coal. So he goes down to the village about every day, selling coal to the villagers, comes back, and we get hit with like instant like shonen protagonist, tropes and everything. Like whole family murked except his sister.
Yeah.
So
straight up murked.
Right. And somehow, some way, sister becomes a demon, and he has to navigate this. They meet one of the 9 Hashira, Tomioka, the pretty much the emo kid of the group.
Yep.
And he decides to spare them, and sends them to his teacher of the breathing styles. Like, hey, if you want to help get your sister back to normal and avenge your family, you have to become a demon slayer. So he meets the master, Urokodaki, and goes through some rigorous training, like months of rigorous training. He's like, I'm gonna make you ready by final selection. But
I'm gonna make a man out of you.
Exactly. And we see his hands, and he finally is able to complete the training, go through final selection, actually meets a demon that has ties to Urokodaki, and slays that demon, pun intended. And then we see him become an official demon slayer, and get his own sword. We see his famous checkerboard kimono, the green and black kimono robe. So and his Hanafuda earrings. So that's how that starts. We see him start his journey to get his sister back to normal.
Yeah, for a setup of a show, I think they did a really good job of establishing the world, the demons, everything was explained really well.
Right,
Derek, I know that the beginning of a show kind of always, compared to other parts of the show, isn't going to rank super high. But Where are you feeling on final selection? Am I going to have to fight you like I did with the My Hero ones?
No, on this one, no, because I think it's such a solid start, and we again, this is starting a new trend of new shonen anime where they don't do the setup and then give you a bunch of minutia to wade through. This is not a My Hero season 1 where they just drag it along and then at the end it gets interesting. They get interesting from the jump, and I think this was a really good start to an anime. I'm gonna make it a B.
A B tier. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree with you there. I would agree. Final selection B. Y'all let us know where you're putting these as well. Because I like to see where everyone puts them. All right, next is Kidnapper's Bog. This is the first adventure of Tanjiro and Nezuko. So Derek, kind of set the stage. What's going on with Kidnapper's Bog?
So this is a short one. It's only a couple episodes, but this is where he meets his first major demon foe. Because, he sees a temple demon, and this is where, in the beginning, beforehand, he meets a temple demon, and he has to kill it. And he's having a hard time doing it, but now this time he's like, all right, I have to shape up and get better if I even have a chance of defeating my sister's enemy, or the king of demons, essentially. And this one drags young women. I mean, it's young. I think it's mainly children, but it's mainly young girls into this bog and eats them, but keeps like trinkets, like like whether it's like a little hair comb, kimono sash, or was it Sobi robe? It's what anyway. The sash and whatnot, and Tanjiro has to navigate this because it's like whack-a-mole, pops up in different places. It can multiply, and he's just like, how do I stop this? And that's where we're over the course of these couple episodes, we're seeing all the different moves he learned for the water breathing style. So, and it's cool because, you see flowing dance for the first time, and it's like, all right, he has a crowd control move because, you see heavy attacks, swift attacks, uppercut, all the different types, but we don't see him have a crowd control move until this. And it's really cool to see, but it's just basically an event, like you said, the adventures of Tanjiro. It's like these next couple arcs are just like quick hits, if you will.
Yeah, it's like Dragon Ball back in the day, like Goku just going on a little bit of adventures, one episode that kind of done. One thing that was dope about Kidnapper's Bog is the first time we actually get to see Nezuko fight.
Yes, and she don't play either.
She don't play. So, Derek, where are you feeling? I got my thoughts. I'm curious on your thoughts. Where are you putting Kidnapper's Bog?
Again, it's an adventure, but it's like it's not. It's meaningful because you're seeing Tanjiro's growth, like in his different moveset, but that's it. It's a C tier for me.
Yeah, I would agree because final selection, you do have the overarching story of this like demon that has taken all the water breathing students and killed them and devoured them and everything. So there was a much more emotional tie to final selection. So I would agree with you on C tier for Kidnapper's Bog. Next arc, Derek.
So this is Asakusa, where it takes a little bit to see, like, we see villains and like some sub villains, but we don't see the main villain for a while. In episode 7, I think it is 7 or 8, we see the main villain and the hero encounters of Muzan Kibutsuji, aka Michael Jackson, as some say, and he's blended in with humanity. He's got a wife and kid. He's trying to blend in so he doesn't draw attention. And Tanjiro, with his Scooby sense of smell, sniffs him out, and he's like, "Who is this?" And then he sees the earrings, and now all of a sudden PTSD kicks in, and he's like, "What are you doing here? Like, where'd you get those earrings? Like, why'd you say that name, Martha?" So he's just like, and then we see what he does and how he transformed Nezuko, because he's the only pure demon. The rest are just like his children, essentially. All he has to do is a faint scratch, and they're insta-turned to demon. So he's just like, I got to get away. I don't know if he knows how to kill me yet or not. I don't know if he's a novice, so I'm not taking that chance. So I'm just going to create a distraction and run away. So, and then we get introduced to a lady who was under Muzan, Lady Tamayo, who broke the curse, does not eat people. Like, she does, I think, consume a little bit of blood here and there, but she doesn't kill people to keep herself alive. And she is able to, like, she broke Muzan's curse because there's a curse to every demon where you utter his name or you leak any information about him, pop goes the weasel, and so she was able to break that curse and hide out from him. But that doesn't last long because two demons, like, they think they're high ranking, but not really. They're just super strong. We see an arrow demon, and then we see the Tamari ball demon, and they're formidable. Like, that Tamari ball is no joke because it took off one of Nezuko's legs, and had she not be able to regenerate, like she did, she would have been maimed. So it was an interesting arc. It was some interesting things that we could see that break the norm of being a demon and the world.
Yeah, I thought the combat that was in this, in this arc was interesting. It wasn't just slashing with my sword, like the demons having different combat abilities, like the arrow one where it's like it's launching Tanjiro up in the air and doing all of this crazy stuff. That was so different from what we normally get from a shonen anime. It's not just fist to fist kind of deal. And again,
and they do
Nezuko,
combo moves too.
Yeah, exactly. It's like seeing the demons working together and then Tanjiro and Nezuko kind of having to work together themselves, and getting to see this other like kind of off branch of demons that don't want to, do what Muzan wants and everything. Right. And that's where also Nezuko is falling into. I like this arc. It is super short, but that beginning running into Muzan and everything, Oh, that moment where he turns around, it's like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
So, gotta rank it. Where do you want to put this? Where are you feeling, Derek?
This one a struggle because it does have some interesting moments. And again, it breaks tropes where, normally we don't see the main villain for a while, but we see it right here in the first season. It's a B for me, but it's a low B. Like I would put it behind Final Selection.
Okay. Yeah, I think because it is a shorter arc, and there are some ramifications because we do learn who Muzan really is.
Right.
We see him, we get information, and we see the ramifications of a demon saying his name and talking about him, what actually happens and everything. So I would agree. I think the emotional part of Final Selection definitely trumps this arc. So
we're agreeing so far in all this.
We're agreeing so far.
It makes me worry what the important ones are going to be like.
I know. I had to fight you on my hero. So this one going pretty easy. So let's go into the Tazumi Mansion arc. Derek, tell me about it.
So this is where we see the rest of the core cast get introduced. This is where we see the scaredy cat Zenitsu and the brash, brazen Inosuke come into play. Tanjiro gets sent on this mission. There's this mansion that is like pretty much a murder house, and people go missing for a while and then come back dead, or you find bodies later. And somehow these other demons, like I think Inosuke just happens upon it. And then Zenitsu just happens to stumble into Tanjiro going the same way. And we see their fighting styles. Like Inosuke is very much like he grew up by himself on a mountain, and he had to pretty much be a self-taught style with the beast breathing. And he has those pretty much jagged swords that pretty much are like razor knives.
I love that he beat up a demon slayer to get his sword.
I know. He did. And then it's Inosuke is pretty much the great, one of the comedic relief, but he's also like a boss as well. Like he has his moments. But then we see that the big enemy of this arc was a former 12 Kizuki member that got demoted. Now, my memory's a little foggy on why he got demoted. I think he just wasn't good enough for Muzan, and Muzan's like, I'm not going to kill you because your ability is pretty good, but I can't make you one of my 12 generals, so you're going to have to get kicked out and demoted. So he's trying to find a way to get back in Muzan's good graces. And he has this unique ability where he has a bunch of drums on his, and like each one has a different thing. So he hits it, and it's like, all right, you end up in a room, you end up upside down, you end up sideways, so it's a very disorienting ability, and it does give Tanjiro trouble, but of course we see he figures it out. But there's other like lesser demons there, and we see Inosuke, like we see his beast breathing. I'm like, what is this? Like, that's not one of the main styles. And we hear it from the first one. It's like self-taught style. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. I love originality, I don't like, And then we see Zenitsu, and from the jump, this man is annoying as crap.
Oh my God, his
he just yells, and he's just a big crybaby, like, I don't want to go, don't make me, and then passes out. And I'm like, please don't be the typical trope where he ends up being a boss. And sure enough, he wakes up, his eyes, and then all of a sudden his voice goes deeper. It's like thunder breathing. I'm like, oh no, it is. And then he's like, thunderclap and flash, and one hits them, and I'm like, this version I could hang out with because he doesn't say much and he's a boss. The other version I can just erase from history.
Yeah, both Inosuke and Zenitsu annoyed me in this arc. Like getting introduced to them and everything, it took me a little while to like them.
Yeah.
And thankfully they both have very, very different personalities and everything. I did like the one thing that I like about Tanjiro is like he starts seeing that the demons aren't just these bad things. That they're not just bad people or whatever.
They were people.
They were people, and that they had dreams and hopes, and Muzan is the reason that they're this way. Right. He turned them, he warped them and everything. And I feel like this arc right here definitely shows that, because one of them like wanted to be a writer or a musician. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
And it was like seeing that, like really like pulling at some heartstrings and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that helped really solidify who Tanjiro is.
Yeah.
And it goes into the next arc as well, that we'll talk about. But before we do that, we got to rank the mansion arc. Derek, where you feeling?
This might be one we disagree on, only because I don't hold it in as like, yes, we see the core cast, but I feel like at the end of the day, it doesn't hold up to the upper two that we've ranked so far. I think it's a C, but I think it's a high C. It's definitely like up in front of Kidnapper's Bog.
I don't know, dude. I feel like it's like bottom of the B barrel. I don't feel like it's on the same, because there's more meat in the mansion arc than there is Bog.
I mean, true.
And you get to see the three in action.
True.
So that's my opinion.
That's fine. It can be behind Asakusa.
Okay. Boom. All right, we're going to the mountains now, Derek. Tell me about the next arc.
Mount Natsugumo. This is pretty much the best arc in season 1, and it's the most like as the group, because you see other like Demon Slayer core members come there. Like now they're pretty much like entry rank,
yeah,
like
they're like
they're cannon fodder.
They're
essentially
wet paper bags.
Yes. So you see them just get like lambs to the slaughter. But there's a lot of dealings going on in this Mount Natsugumo area, and you find out this is where we get introduced to one of the 12 Kizuki, albeit the lower moons, because there's 2 tiers. There's the 6 lower, 6 upper, and the 6, and we get, but still, even the lower moons, like we see, one of the stronger ones, and he's created his own family, father, mother, sister, brother, and you see each of them have their own struggles. But like you said, the emotional part, like I think it was the mother, like she was the one, like we see the whole backstory before as they were becoming demons. They're like, this isn't my life. I don't want to do this forever. I want to run away and just be free. And it's like, can't do that. And then like Rui, the 12 Kizuki member, ratted out his own family. And he's like, look, you do as I say, you can stay alive. We can be a happy family. But you betray me, I'm going to murk you. And finally the mother saw an out when Tanjiro was coming to take her out. And she just, like, instead of fighting it, she just embraced it. And Tanjiro noticed that. And he changed up his sword stance to where it was like a brutal slice. It was more like because blessed rain after the drought, which is pretty much like a peaceful going. So you see that not all of them are monsters. Now we do see like plenty of them, like the father, mindless tank.
Yeah.
The brother,
God,
vengeful,
so freaking creepy. The spider baby things.
And of course, Zenitsu, the cowardly crybaby, has to encounter and then like, and like does his screaming. I'm like, oh boy. But once again, his sleep mode saves him. Like even as he's turning into a spider, and then we get to see Inosuke. We find out his niche in the group. He becomes the tracker. Like what was it? Spatial awareness, and so that way he can find out where these people are. And so and then we see Tanjiro, like, because we think once they get their weapon or their ability, they're almost unbeatable, at least in the early parts. But then Tanjiro, like fighting the father, ends up breaking his sword. Like, and we think we're kind of led this illusion, if you will, that once you become a demon slayer and you get this special sword with like this blade that can kill demons, it's pretty much indestructible. That's a lie. So, but you see all the pain, and then like we finally get to the Rui fight, and like Rui puts him through the ringer, and like just all these abilities, and then you finally get to see, because you think that the demons are just like killing them and they have these special abilities, but they have their own like breathing style essentially, and that's their blood demon art. Yeah. And you see these are unique abilities, and his is just like pretty much like a guillotine essentially. But Tanjiro discovers something about himself and remembers something that his father used to do growing up, when he was ill, is in the wintertime, and all of a sudden we see flames come out around Tanjiro, and it's like, what is this? Like, he's been a water breather, now he can do fire. Like, can he do all the breathing styles? And that's what he has to do to take out. Even with a broken blade, he uses the hilt to pretty much cut Rui. And like, I think he has help from Tomioka too. Like, I think like he doesn't finish him. Tomioka comes in and finishes him, but still, like the fact that Tanjiro was able to pull this out of himself, that deepens the mystery of what Tanjiro is, what his family represents. Like, does this tie into why Muzan is so afraid of the Hanafuda earrings, all that kind of stuff? So the plot thickens around Tanjiro and his family. So this was, I guess you could say, like the highest stakes in all of season 1 that we saw. And we also get introduced, because other than Tomioka, the Demon Slayer Corps really doesn't know about Nezuko being a demon, and that Tanjiro hasn't taken her out. And then we're introduced to another Hashira, Shinobu Kocho, who is the insect Hashira. Now, she is different because apparently, like, with the strength, unbalancing, she can't hold a full blade, but she has a tip, and she specializes in poison. So she can take out demons in a different way. And then all of a sudden she sees Nezuko, and she's like, yeah, I'm going to have to take you out too. And like Tanjiro's like, no, don't do it. She's not like other ones. Like, I don't care. It's my job. And it's funny because there's a comedic thing where she goes to swing and Nezuko goes small and, running away. So, and yeah, that's pretty much how that goes.
Yeah. And, water breathing dude stopping her and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Leads us into the next arc. Just a few things I wanted to point out. Like, we got to see Nezuko's blood demon art as well.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Her blood catching on fire.
Yeah. And I forgot about that part because Rui, like, he's like, oh, you two have a special sibling bond. I want that. So he's like, I'm going to kill Tanjiro and I'm going to keep Nezuko because Nezuko will protect me because she's also a demon. And then, like, you see Nezuko strung up and it's like, let me have her and you can and it's like, and I won't have to maim her so bad. And then she bleeds all over the spider strings, and then it's like exploding blood. Like, of course, one of the most boss-sounding demon blood arts in the show. And it's like, bro, this is kind of broke. Like,
yeah,
like they both have a fire ability now at this point.
It's definitely the best arc of season 1 for sure. Where are we putting this, Derek?
I'm kind of leaning toward an A. Because it is so good. We learn so much about not only demons and like the upper ranks, but we also learn a lot about the Kamado family. And like we see like them bring out more powers or realize they have powers they don't. So it's a low A, but it is an A for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it has the potential to be an S. But the other things that we're getting into is definitely, better than this. So I think it's an A for sure. Rehabilitation training arc. Derek, what's going on here?
So, of course, posted, they're seeing the highlight of this is they have a Hashira meeting. You see all 9 Hashira, like Scarface, you see the Crying Monk, you get to see Snake Guy. You get to see the love chick, Kanroji, and you see the whole plethora of them, and then you get to see Rengoku and Uzui, who we see as like the core of the focus for the next 2 arcs. But this one is just basically introducing like the main side cast and showing the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, and that he is not doing so well. Muzan. We not only find out that Muzan is pretty much his brother or some kind of not brother, but some kind of relation, like ancestor to him. Mm-hmm. And that he pretty much cursed him and that he's dying and he's trying to figure out a cure for all this. And he's hoping taking Muzan out will do that. But we're also seeing they're put on trial because, they got Nezuko and they realize she's a demon. And this is unprecedented. Like, how can a demon be a demon slayer? And so old Scarface, the Sanemi, the Wind Hashira, it just goes to town and is like, all right, so if I stab her, she won't go buck wild, will she? And she wants to go like gnaw on him and like tear him limb from limb, but she stops herself and she goes and hides in the shade to not get burned to death. And they kind of see that all of them are surprised. Like, what is this sorcery? Like, all we knew about demons is a lie. Like, there is like, even if it's an outlier, it's still like, what do we do with this information? And so they deliberate, and they're like, we're gonna let you be. We're gonna bring Nezuko in as a temporary demon slayer, but if she messes up one time, she gotta go.
Yeah.
And Tanjiro's like, bet. If she does, I'll do it myself. And it's like, that's how confident he is, because he knows he can control Nezuko. But then we see, it's like, look, all that your training has done has gotten you this far. But as you saw in Mount Natagumo, you are nowhere near ready to face the rest of the 12 Kizuki, let alone the upper moon. So you've got to increase your breathing. And then they do this rigorous training. Like we introduce pretty much the love interest, the Hinata, if you will, in Kanao. She's pretty much a Sugaku, which is like pretty much an understudy to be a Hashira once they are ready. And we saw that she has a very sad backstory. Like, she was pretty much abused and unwanted as a child, and she basically could not make decisions on her own. She had to resort to flipping a coin to make her decisions for her. And Tanjiro basically breaks that habit of her, and she doesn't know what to do with this. She's like, I've never made my own decision before. And basically she starts, I won't say get in the hots, but she starts to admire Tanjiro because he broke her out of this mold and shell.
Yeah. And we also get Zenitsu like fawning over Nezuko and then any other girl.
I mean, he starts, but he flirts with every other girl, but his main squeeze is Nezuko. And I know it's going to happen because this is pretty much how shonen anime works. But I just don't want. Nezuko deserves so much better.
He's definitely the Krillin of the bunch.
Oh yeah, little green.
Oh, I think this is a good solid arc just because like we get to see so much training and how that affects breathing styles, their power, movement as well, because that's something that the three main demon slayers lack is like really good movement.
Right.
So I think it is a very solid arc, and getting to see all the demons like the Hashiras and everything. Yeah. Was really cool. And you know, that moment of like, oh, what are they about to do to Nezuko and everything? And
and not to mention that Tanjiro basically bucks the trend. He's like, I don't care what ranking you are. Like when Sanemi starts going to town on Nezuko, Tanjiro goes and headbutts him, and it's just like, and the other Hashira kind of muses like, he struck a Hashira. Who does that? You know, it's like, but I commend it because Sanemi is a little bit of a jerk. So, you know, it's warranted. So it's like, you don't see that.
Yeah, you don't see that. So rehabilitation arc, where are we putting him?
It would be a high C for me, but it could also be a low B. Like I want to put it, what do we have at the end? The Suzumi Mansion? Yeah. Oh, is it better than Suzumi Mansion though? Like, if it's a B tier, is it better than Suzumi Mansion? That's the question. What say you?
Because it's training and not an actual fight, I feel like it doesn't do much in that realm. It does push the story further, though, than if it was just training. Yeah. I still think it's below the Mansion, though. I wouldn't put it on C because I feel like Kidnapper's Bog is the worst one just because it is so short. Yeah. And it's really the first time he's out and about. Yeah. So I think end of B tier is a good place for me. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Mugen Train.
Oh my God.
We're serving donuts.
Tasty. You know, this is where Demon Slayer becomes Demon Slayer, in my opinion, because, you know, all of it is really good, but this was the one, like, because we see a little bit of Tomioka, we see a little bit of Shinobu, but this is where we see a Hashira go all out. And this started as a movie, and then they made it an episodic arc later on. This, to me, is really good because we get to see Rengoku, which is pretty much like a fan favorite out of all the Hashira, and how his his upbringing, like his outlook on life, because like he's a samurai, or he has that samurai mentality where any meal could be the last meal, and he's like, he buys all these people's box lunches to help with money, but he's also like, this could be my last meal. I don't know what's going to happen on this train. Let me enjoy a good meal. And we get to see that. Oh, we forgot to mention at the end of the rehabilitation training arc, Muzan summons all the lower tiers and is just like,
oh yeah, just wrecks them.
He's just like, so what y'all going to do about this? And then they're like, they're appeasing him. They're pretty much brown nosing him. And he's like, yeah, I don't need this. Snap, 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 all dead, just like murking one after the other. And the last lower moon is like, you can kill me. Like, I don't care. Like, I deserve, like, if we are displeasing you, we deserve to die. And he's like, someone who knows their own worth. I like you. You get my power, which is like random and weird at the same time, because it's like, that's what you're looking for to subordinate, but it makes sense because he's like, the way fear controls all the demons, it makes them he puts them in their place.
Yeah.
And he's like, he wants to subjugate them. And if they're all like praising him and not fearing him, he doesn't want that, because praising him will only make you weak. And so we see him get this ability, and he's like, he's already been killing people on this train. And then you see what they do. He takes these children that have insomnia, that they just want to go to sleep. And he's like, I will put you to sleep if you make these other people go to sleep. And pretty much what he does is he puts them in this thing and then pretty much kills them in their dreams and like traps them in this bubble sphere, like the dream world. And we get to see Tanjiro be with his family, all alive and well. Nezuko's not a demon. Mother's alive. All his siblings, all 80 of his siblings are alive, and
he doesn't have 80 siblings.
He has a lot. That's a big family. You know what I mean?
Like, he's got 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
I thought it was more of one of, anyway, he has a lot of siblings.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're all alive and well, and like Inosuke, his little dream is like he's the captain and like the other 2 are his subordinates.
Yeah.
And then Zenitsu is and then he sees the train as an enemy. Like this is what happens when you live in the backwoods mountains. Like, you're not used to modern society, because he tries to attack the train when they first get here. He's like, what is this demon? And he's like, put away your swords, which is also interesting because, yes, we know the trope of like, hey, supernatural stuff. We don't want the modern world to know that this is a thing. But to go as far as like, hey, swords aren't allowed here, and like we got to keep them hid. It's like, that's very interesting for this time period. Like, yes, they are advancing to more modern tech, like steel and all that, but it's still weird that swords are not allowed and like you can't even carry them. So he busts out his blades, like, I'm gonna kill this train, and he's like, no, you can't do it, Inosuke. And then Zenitsu's dream world is where he's happily living out his love life with Nezuko. But then we get to see, of course, the children have to pretty much go find like their like core and break it, and that's what pretty much kills them. And we see Tanjiro figures out a loophole where he's just like, he snaps out of it, like his like consciousness pretty much says, hey, idiots, this is not the real world. Get out of here or you're going to die, like Nezuko. And then we see Nezuko is not affected or breaks out of it and is trying to wake up everyone. Like, she even headbutts Tanjiro. That does nothing except hurt Nezuko. And we get to learn she has, her ability is not only destructive to demons, it pretty much heals or like kills anything demon related, like to humans. So that we see, because all of a sudden she sets Tanjiro on fire, and it's like, what is she doing? So, but then we see the loophole for Tanjiro is like, in order to get out of this, you pretty much have to off yourself.
Yeah.
And so, and he does it and he's not sure. He's like, if I die here, do I die in real life or do I break? And he breaks the cycle. And then now they're doing all this thing where they're having to save all the people. We see Rengoku do his thing.
Yeah.
Like when he's divvying up the cards, like, all right, the Lightning Boy has 3, can get these 3. Tanjiro, you get these up here. I've got these like 5 or 6 cards here. And I'm like, dang, that's a lot. And then you just see him go boom, boom, boom. Yeah. And I'm like, he's not a Hashira for nothing. And it almost seems like he's got infinite stamina, because he just goes breathing technique after breathing technique after breathing technique. And then you find out the demon is like pretty much like he uses like word, he's like sleep or whatever. As if he says sleep, they go to sleep. And then Tanjiro's like, you pretty much have to take yourself out in your dream world. And to do this repeatedly over and over and over again is just like so mentally taxing because once is hard for anybody, but to do this repeatedly is ridiculous. And they finally
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
Come to bargain. So they take out the main, which is pretty much like he's fused with the train. So they take out the lower moon. And, you know, it's one of those, when I was watching it in movie form, you know, they stopped it. They saved everybody, you know, train went off the tracks. No one died pretty much. And it's like, okay, cool. Then they see it's like still got like 20, 30 minutes left of the movie. I'm like, what's about? I guess they're going to have a long wrap up. And then all of a sudden you see this guy descend. And it's like, boom. And then you just see the text, upper moon. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And then it gets real. And Akaza, he's a hand-to-hand upper three. And Rengoku's like, yeah, this dude means business. He's not like the other one. I have to stop him. And like the music that plays, like his little theme once they get started is so epic. And they just trade blows back and forth. And like, you know, demons can regenerate and they regenerate pretty fast. This Joker, it regenerates instantaneously. Like Rengoku splits his arm in half and it's all like, next second, it's all back together. And I'm like, okay, this is a whole other level.
It's broken.
I know. And then you see Rengoku bust out these moves and Akasa's trading blows with him and like pretty much not even feeling it. And Akasa this whole time is like, you should become a demon because we could fight every day. And he's like, why would you want to be a lowly human? Because you die. If you're a demon, you pretty much live forever. And then we see like Rengoku delivers this final epic attack in one retaliation to take him out. He doesn't quite do it. And you see Akasa punch a hole through him. And Rengoku pretty much dies, but not before he sees a vision of his mother, basically telling him because she died at a young age when Rengoku was young, so he never really had a relationship with his mother. And she's like, "You were a good boy. You saved everyone." Like pretty much affirming that what he did his entire shortened life was great, and he was at peace. And like everyone is like so devastated, and then Tanjiro snaps. He's like, "You're a coward. He won. You." And because the sun comes up at this point, and he has to run. He's like, "Finish your fight. You know, you're pathetic. You're beneath us. We're stronger than you." And like he's taking it personally, but then like he's got to run off, and Tanjiro, after just getting back his sword, throws it and like sticks to Akaza, and it's just like, man. That's an intense arc.
Yeah, it is really, really intense. Losing Rengoku in this arc was a gut punch, for sure. But the animation, like I know it was movie form and then they broke it down, but the animation, like the Rengoku fight, my God, it was just like when you forget how your budget. Like that's definitely what was going on there. It was just like, my Lord, this is amazing. I love the Mugen Train. Like it's probably the one that sticks out the most to me, in my mind and everything. Love it. Where are we placing it, Derek?
D tier. I'm kidding. Right. S tier. S tier.
D tier it is. Okay. Moving on. Entertainment District.
Move that up. So,
all right. Yeah, I agree. S tier is where it belongs. Like it is absolutely fantastic.
So
absolutely fantastic. Dale, let us know. What are your thoughts? Where would you put Mugen Train? All right. Entertainment District, or as I like to call it, the Red Light District. All right.
So we're hot off the heels of the end of Mugen Train. And now we have to go on the next adventure. We meet the next Hashira, the Sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui, who is a former shinobi, and it gives he's very Naruto vibes in my opinion. And he's got a little bit different outtake on life. Like he wants where Rengoku likes to they both like to live life to the fullest, but Rengoku wants to enjoy food and whatnot. Uzui partakes in the finer things in life, like women, entertainment, all that kind of stuff.
Flash.
And right. And we see that because at the Butterfly Mansion, all the healers, he starts taking a few of them. He's like, "You're gonna come help me find my wives." It's like, how about you use people who are actually trained for this to help go find your wives. And they go this, and before that, they go to see Rengoku's father, who was a former flame Hashira. Found out he's a stinking drunk. Like he's pretty much down on his luck because they want to find out some information to see if Tanjiro's breathing technique is any similar to theirs. And they find out it's not. But that whole interaction between Rengoku's dad and him is like, because he's like dogging his son. He's like, I knew he would die. I told him to stop. He's never going to amount to anything. And Tanjiro gets ticked off and like, this man loves to headbutt everybody. So he headbutts the father, sobers him up, and he's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was a little harsh. And then he comes to realize he just didn't. And he comes to realize that he's just like, I wasn't ready to grieve the loss of my son. Like he should be burying me, not the other way around.
Yeah.
But then we get to the entertainment district, and they have to infiltrate. And the whole premise about that's like, hey, let's gender bend you real quick, and let's make you pretty and get you in there. And like, we forgot to mention in season 1, Inosuke, like under the boarhead, he's like a pretty boy, and you don't expect that. And he's like, what? So he is like other than the voice, he is perfect for this recon mission.
It's like, just don't talk.
Right.
Like, I think this is one of my favorite parts of the entertainment district, like, and where Tengen like goes to like each of the houses and like essentially sells their services to the madam of the house.
Yeah.
And like Inosuke, easy. Tanjiro, not so much. But Zenitsu, it's like, you could just have him. Like, I will pay you.
Right.
Where he's playing, it's like a man hurt him. I'm like, that gets me so.
I know.
Every time I think about it. What is she saying? A man hurt. Hurt her, left her, abandoned her.
Oh man, it's great. And then you find out each of his, because he has 3 wives, and you find out, you see his background about what happened to his clan, and he's like, look, my sole purpose in life is to protect you 3. I don't care about my life. I don't care about anyone else's lives. You 3 take priority. So that's why we find out why it's so pertinent for him to find them. And they go to each of the houses, they find stuff, and then I think it's Zenitsu's house that Zenitsu's house that is where we find the demon. Inosuke, yeah, that's where they keep the demon. And you find out how they're getting through and taking all these people without anyone noticing or hearing anything. And it's like the Obi Sash.
Yep.
Which we find out later has an entity all its own, which is weird. Is taking these people, saving them, pretty much folding them into the tapestry to save them for later. Like pretty much like, I'm going to enjoy this meal type deal. And Tanjiro finds out that one of the, for lack of a better term, geisha, like the crowned, geisha is like, the one to be, one everyone wants, like the prized possession of each house. To find out the one at his house is the demon, and we find out that it is another upper moon. This one is upper 6, and we see by this time like the ability that he unlocked was Hinokami Kagura, which is like his family's secret technique, which is like a fire breathing technique. Not flame, it's fire. Like Rengoku signifies that it is not like his at all, and we see all these different techniques he busts out when he's fighting. Daki. Yeah, and she is caught off guard, and then but she's able to quickly counter it, and then Tanjiro's like, I have to combine Hinokami Kagura for offense and my water breathing for defense, because she's quickly adapting to the Hinokami Kagura attacks. So, and we see that, but it puts a toll on his body because he can't just keep swapping abilities. That's when Tengen comes in, because they find the wives, he saves Zenitsu, he saves Inosuke, and then now they go all out. And Tengen, while he doesn't have the best breathing technique, in my opinion, his sword skills are redonkulous. Yeah, like he just goes like Tanjiro's like keeping pace with Daki at least, but Tengen's just like, yeah, you're a pathetic demon. Like just start slicing her up, and then.
And we also get the Nezuko versus Daki
fight,
where she goes like the next level.
Yes,
like her demon
because
form.
she's about to go. She's about to kill Tanjiro, and Nezuko's like, "Not on my watch."
Yeah.
And then it's like she goes on, like she gets like muscle and like grows and like she matures, and then like pretty much like Super Saiyan, Super Demon essentially, and then it's like beating her too, and it's like, man, Daki is pretty weak. And then Tengen beheads her, but yet all of a sudden she's not disintegrating, and she's like sitting there crying and wailing, and he's like, taking an awful long time for her to go away, and all of a sudden you see a shadow rise up, and it's like, oh, they're two. They're brother and sister. We see Gyotaro, and this man, like he might be also upper six, like the lowest of the 12 of the upper six, but
he is so freaking creepy.
He right, but he is super strong as well. Like he's pretty much the attack hound to Daki. Like his whole, like you see their whole backstory play out. Like she was pretty, like he grew up in the poor part of the district. He was sickly, like ugly looking, like malnourished. And then his sister was born because his mother was pretty much a harlot. And she was beautiful. Like she was not like the rest of the family. And basically Gyotaro saw her as their cash cow out of this poverty hole, until she ticked off the wrong person and was like, and even Gyotaro told her, like, you can't do that. Like, I know he deserved it, but you can't do that. You have to play along. We are almost out of here. And the wealthy businessman was like, take her out. And that's when Gyotaro like was just like, nope, and started going on a killing spree. And that's when they became demons, because he was like, anyone please save my sister. And that's how they formed their relationship. And Gyotaro, like he is all about poison, because his dagger's got poison. His sickle of his blood demon art is poison. And we see him go to town on like, he continuously catches like all of them off guard. Like Tengen, all that. Like Tengen loses a hand, gets poisoned in multiple places. But then like we see like when they're about to get in trouble, he gets back up and he's like, nope, I'm still raring to go. And yeah. And then they pretty much figure out that they have to kill both of them at the same time, which is already tough. But then we see like Inosuke has some special moments. But Zenitsu, like he unlocks a whole new level. Like when he's like it was so, I got goosebumps when he's like, thunderclap and flash, godlike speed. I'm like, bro, what is this? So, oh man. And then, it's pretty much Daki versus Inosuke and Zenitsu, and then Gyotaro versus Tanjiro and Tengen. And the back and forth, like everyone's getting their battle scars and whatnot. It was just so epic. But then when they finally kill him, they, right before they disintegrate, Daki and Gyotaro hash it out. Like they basically start like cursing each other. Then they're just like coming to realizations like, look, we just love each other. Like we should never have gotten to this place in the first place. Yeah. And then when you think it's going to be a happy ending, all of a sudden Zenitsu's like, get away, and Gyotaro's body explodes, destroying pretty much the entire district or a good chunk of it, and then it just fades like the credits roll, and it's like, don't you tell me, don't you leave it like this. But then you find out everyone is okay, and then you find out another thing about Nezuko's ability is like all the poison, because it's a blood demon art. Like she goes to Tanjiro, lights him on fire. He is healed because he is pretty much about on the near death.
Yeah.
You go to Tengen because he gets all his wives back at this point, and she starts lighting him on fire, and all the wives are freaking out. It's like, no, what are you doing? And it's like, it's okay, I'm good. But this man lost an eye. This man lost an arm. It's like those can't be fixed, unfortunately. Yeah. So it's such a really good follow up from Mugen Train.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the juxtaposition between Tanjiro Nezuko and Daki and her brother in this arc, where it's like we are seeing both of them like what they could have been. The other side of the coin and everything. And I think it was super well done. The Tengen, like when they're going at it, and it's like the animation just goes so hard in this arc. I liked it. I don't think it's as good as Mugen Train, but I think it is very, very good. So I got where I want to put it. Derek, where are you thinking?
I still want to put it at S tier just because of how good, but it's behind Mugen Train in my
Yeah,
opinion.
that's how I'm feeling as well. I definitely think it's better than Mount Natagumo
Oh yeah.
100%. But yeah, I think it deserves to be in S tier. Last one, because this coming up Sunday, May 12th, is the new season of Demon Slayer. We're going to rank the last one that has come out, and that is the Swordsmith Village arc. Derek, take us through it real quick.
So this one is interesting because we see two Hashira. Like we've seen one the previous couple entries. This one's we see two. We see Tokito, the Mist Hashira, and Kanroji, the Love Hashira, in this one. But they're taken to the Swordsmith Village because they heard because they need to fix their swords again, and they heard that there was a legendary sword that could pretty much like hold up better than what Tanjiro has been dealing with. Because it's like, man, you go through swords like no one's business. And then we see his swordsmith, Haganezka, like the first time he breaks his sword, he goes crazy. Like he chases Tanjiro all over like the butterfly mansion and like tries to kill him. And then when he throws his sword at the end of Mugen Train, and then he finds out like, you did what? And then he like literally chases him like pretty much like around a whole village, like trying to just like, don't you stop doing that to my baby. But you see that because the jobs of the Demon Slayers are so important that you need swordsmiths who are willing to put in just as much effort for the fight to make sure the Demon Slayers have the tools to take out demons like that, or at least hold up against them. So you see they take their crafting very seriously. It's a hidden village. Like no one is to know the location. You change runners. Like even the runner, like the first runner you have has no, all they know is where to take you to the next runner. They don't know where the village is. They don't know how far it is. Nothing. So they keep it utmost secret. However, the demons.
It doesn't matter because they find out.
Right. The demons, because we see the meetings of the upper moons and we see like some of the upper ones, like the upper two and the upper one, like they exude like this like energy, like, oh, you're going to be a problem later on. Like you're going to be a problem, especially upper one. You're going to, you are pretty like upper one is pretty much to me the Kimimaro without the disease.
Yeah.
So,
like, and seeing how similar he looks.
Oh yeah, which is crazy because it's like, huh? What are you? Because it's like, what are you? Are you related? Are you somehow similar? Like it's there raises a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, how does Muzan not have PTSD kick in? But then you see two of the upper moons, I think it's upper 4 and upper 5, go off to the village. And it's like upper 5, like is serious, but to me is not like I don't really fear him because like once you get around his initial ability, it's like it's nothing. But upper 4, like that Joker, like because he has multiple, like he has split personalities. Like he has all, and they all have different abilities. And once they combine together, they're like this ultimate ability. And it's like they pose their own threats. And like you see, like of course you see Haganezka, like they find the ancient sword. It's like a 300-year-old sword, and he's just like using his technique. Like he has to pretty much like refurbish it, and he's getting attacked by this upper 5, and he just keeps going. Like to where you see he's also like a Nosuke. He's a pretty boy underneath the mask, but he keeps going to town and just does his thing. What else? By the way, Haganezka is also the voice of Fushiguro in Jujutsu Kaisen. Just side note.
Okay.
And then we see Tokito. We see a little bit about his backstory. Like we see Kanroji's backstory, which to me, while sad, is not as serious as some of these other backstories for the Hashiras. Tokito's is definitely like, because we find out he had a twin, and we find out like he's just like we thought he was the soulless one. We thought and then you come to find out he was the one that was saved by his brother. Like he was like, and that's why he became so like not soulless, but basically just like stoic. Like he doesn't have a reaction to anything. He doesn't care about anything. Everything is pointless. And you find out why, because a demon killed his brother, and it should have been him because it should be his brother standing there, not him. And he has a pretty cool ability because his mist breathing form is pretty much very much similar to the Hino Kamikagura, or like in that same family.
Yeah.
And well, we find out it's actually called sun breathing, which is like it's pretty much the founder of all the other breathing styles in this arc. And so it starts from there, and then every other thing is just pretty much like a pale imitation, or like pretty much like a branch family of it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And there are some good fights in this, but I feel like the fights outside of Tokito, like Kanroji, like again, she has like very like her sword is very unique and her abilities are very unique. But I don't really like her style at all. You know what I mean? Like her, like it's like Tengen's. It's like Tengen. It doesn't hold up well compared to the rest of it. However, we see because we thought Tanjiro, like his scar, we see it transform every time he taps into Hinokami Kagura.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? Like, is that just a result of it? But then you see Kanroji, and then you see Tokito gain red marks on their bodies, and it's like raises the question, what is this? And it almost seems like it's a power boost because they get stronger, they get faster, and everyone takes out the enemies. But the kicker at the end is where the sun comes up and Nezuko has nowhere to find shade.
Yep.
And you're like, man, don't let it end like this. Like,
well, and it's like either Tanjiro kills the demon to end this fight.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Or he goes and saves Nezuko from the sun.
He's debating it. Nezuko kicks him toward the demon.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Nezuko makes it for him. She's like, finish the job. Don't worry about me. Finish the job.
Yeah, that.
And that's like the whole emotional scene playing around it, like the music, and it's just like, man, this is sad. And then all of a sudden, she's still standing there in the bright morning sun, and you just see her wounds heal, and she talks. We see her like, because we just hear like a voice every time, you know, in any other instance, but mostly she's like, you know, or like, you know, Gers or whatever, you know,
yeah,
right. So, but we hear her talk for the first time in the show since before she became a demon, and it's like all of a sudden she's just immune to sunlight, and it's like, what is this? Like, Tanjiro's like, I'll ask questions later. I'm just glad you're alive. And then Muzan sees us and is like, finally, the one I've been waiting for.
Yep.
The one weakness that I cannot overcome, the sunlight. And now I have the ability to overcome that. I need Nezuko. And it's like, crap. Of course. Like, the one who got away is the one he needs. And now it's like his sole purpose to come find her.
This arc has some good moments, but I feel like we had like a lot of really good ones, and then this one is kind of a step back, in my opinion.
Right. Agreed.
The animations, like a lot of it is really cool, but I don't feel like the fights are as epic and intense as Mugen Train and Entertainment.
It's not the same stakes.
Yeah. It just like, yes, the Swordsmith Village is like uber important and everything, but I didn't feel like there were moments where it was like, yeah, we've got people who are in danger and all of this, but it just didn't have that same tug as the other ones did.
Right.
So that's why I kind of knock it. Yes, we did get American breathing, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, we find out that Scarface has a younger brother, who they pretty much don't talk. And like, he's pretty much treating him like the redheaded stepchild. And come to find out, he has his own ability. Like, this is the first time we see a Demon Slayer use guns. Like, he has 2 double-barrel shotguns that he's just going to town. Is like, American breathing. So,
and he's also like part demon or something.
Well, I have questions about that, but we see him consume demon flesh and gain the ability, like the strength. We don't see him gain the powers necessarily, but he gains the strength and the enhanced senses of a demon. And that's what holds his own. And it's like, what is this? Like, this is unique. Like, I have so many questions. Like, how did he stumble across this? Is it hereditary? Like, is it pretty much like a black sheep of the family ability? Like, that would explain why Sonomy doesn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I have while, like you said, doesn't like the fights, the overall intensity of the season doesn't hold up. It does bring up good plot points for later. It's like, I have questions that I need answered, and I need them answered by next season.
The fights are kind of lackluster in some places. Like, they are interesting looking, but the fight with the jar demon, like I felt like that was really lackluster.
Oh yeah, because you see him like give Tokito a hard time, but Tokito's just not serious. And then when Tokito finally is like, "Yeah, I'm done with you now," like he just like boom, one hits him pretty much, and it's like, okay, you could have done that way earlier. You just chose to drag it out.
Yeah, so that right there kind of was like it cheapens it for me overall. So let's rank the last one, Derek. Where are we putting the Swordsmith Village arc?
It's a low A for me. Like I would put it behind Mount Natsugumo.
Mm-hmm.
Like I almost like it is very tempting to put it behind the final selection arc, but I think it is good enough because of all the questions, like all the intrigue, and then like that final revelation with Nezuko that it puts it at an A, but it's like just, right behind Mount Natsugumo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the emotional stakes of the mountain arc and everything is definitely better. Mm-hmm. But getting to see the Swordsmith Village and everything in this, seeing that other side of the Demon Slayer core and how that's so important, I think it definitely deserves to be an A. But I do agree, Mount Gunmo is still really a more solid one and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There is our Demon Slayer ranking, everybody. If you want to rank yours, the link is down in the description. And if you want more awesome content like this, go over to patreon.com/nerdcave and support us there so we can make more Eat Sleep Anime content. Mm-hmm. And if you want to check out our ranking of My Hero Academia seasons, you can check that out right here. So there you go, guys. Can't wait to see what the new season of Demon Slayer is going to be.
Yep.
We're going to get buff. We're going to get lean. We're going to get mean. It's going to be awesome. This has been Zach.
And Derek.
Now, blessed week. Bye.